Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team Season 2 here on the channel. Today, we have the 14th race of the season, the Singapore Grand Prix at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload, and hit like on this video if you do enjoy. If you remember last season in Singapore, we did DNF in the race. We had engine failure, which you didn't actually see in a video because I deleted the file like an absolute fool before I uploaded it to YouTube. So hopefully you're just seeing this one on YouTube and I haven't deleted the file by accident. There is the vehicle comparison chart. Red Bull and Mercedes are pretty much level with us now in the chart. We were a bit ahead of those, but now they have pulled it back to level. McLaren in P4 in the chart, then Ferrari, then Aston Martin and Williams, the best of the rear pack, you know. Williams have overtaken Alfa Romeo, has Alpine and AlphaTauri, which is mad. You can see the weather forecast on the screen right now. There's going to be a bit of rain in the race, so hopefully we don't shit the bed like we did in Belgium. If you do remember that, it's the same forecast, you know, cloudy to start, a little bit of rain in the middle, and then back to dry at the end of the race. So hopefully, I think it was Belgium that we did the wrong strategy. It was indeed this season. So hopefully we don't see a repeat of that in Singapore. Now, last season I was practicing around Singapore and then did qualifying, and then I just didn't really click with the car in qualifying, and it was pretty much the same this season as well. But last season my race pace was amazing. You know, we were P22. We took an engine penalty in Singapore last season. Took that engine penalty, but still, once we got into the race, I was absolutely flying, overtaking everyone. And I had some great race pace. So as you can see, my best time at the minute is a 1:36.8, which has put us P21 on the grid, which is obviously not good enough. We're improving on this lap. We run wide there, nearly go over the curb, lose a lot of time trying to keep it on the right side of that curb. We were in the green in the Delta. We're back to the green now by a few hundredths. But this is going to be our final lap, I think, of the qualifying sessions. Hopefully we can get that Delta back into the green. We go green in Sector 1, but struggling through Sector 2. We make up a bit of time there as we come over the bridge. Bump the wall a little there. Coming over the bridge, we lose a lot of time in Sector 2. I don't know if we picked up damage from bumping the wall there, but the 3/10 down as we head through the final part of Sector 3. A lot of grip on the car there. 2/10 down on the Delta, cutting the curb a little there as we head through towards the last turn, and the Delta is going to go back into the green as we come through the final corner, get on the throttle, and it's going to go green by 200ths or 2000ths of a second there, which keeps us in P21. You know, very unfortunate. A lot of times to be made, definitely, but we just couldn't get that lap going. Nico Rosberg up in P5, just behind the two Mercedes and the two Red Bulls. Mick Schumacher in P11 in the Williams, and Fernando Alonso in an Alpine in P10. So good performances from those guys there in Q1. Pierre Gasly struggling in the AlphaTauri this season. That AlphaTauri car is not good this season. But let's see the final grid and get to the race.
Here we go then. It's Formula One in Marina Bay once again. And welcome to all of you at home who join us today for this fascinating race around the baking hot, horribly humid, but very beautiful streets of Singapore. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of Turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Carlos Sainz and Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly and Sebastian Vettel, Rosberg, Fernando Alonso, George Russell and Ocon, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ticktum. The owner driver, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher. They've taken a grid penalty, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. That's it then, it's time to go racing, as we head to trackside for today's race.
So boys, we make up 2 places there, as you have just seen. Lance Stroll and Mick Schumacher taking a grid penalty. Now, I was looking at the strategy, thinking about this rain that's supposed to be coming halfway through the session. Should we go with medium, medium, soft, or should we go with hard, medium? I went with hard, medium, and the plan was I'll stay on these hards until the rain comes. But it is lights out and away we go in Singapore. Do we get off to a decent start? Mick Schumacher going around the outside. It was Mick Schumacher off to a great start compared to us. We're going to send it down the inside. They're trying to make those positions back as Dan ticks him in the Haas there, pushes us wide and over the curb. We have to take evasive action once again. We're going over the curb. I think that was Nicholas Latifi this time, making us go over the curb, leaving absolutely no space for us to try and send one down the inside. We have to take evasive action, but we are up 1 place into P18 off the start. We've got our teammate Nico Rosberg up in P11. Don't know what happened to Nico in qualifying. Obviously, we can't see Q2 as we send a move on Latifi there down the inside, and we're going to make that move stick. We have made up another place into P17. Now we're looking for one on Yuki Tsunoda. Can we make that move stick? Yuki goes, we push him a little bit wide there, but we make that move on Tsunoda up into P17. Here's a replay of the start from the onboard camera. Like I say, we couldn't see Q2 or Q3, so I don't know what happened with Nico. Maybe he went for a strategy in Q2, trying to qualify on medium tyres, and then got knocked out. That's probably the case, but as you can see there, we had to take evasive action. Latifi closed the gap in front, and once again, Latifi closing the gap in front. We had no space. A little bit wobbly coming off the curb there, but we managed to keep the car out of the wall, which is the main thing around Singapore. You know, you don't want to be going into the wall. Of course, you know, we're on these hard tyres. It seems everyone around us is on softs or mediums. So have we got this strategy right? Have we got it wrong? Who knows? There's the send on Latifi. We overtake Latifi up, who's on soft tyres, up into P17. Now we beat Tsunoda up into P16, and Esteban Ocon is in front of us now, also on hard tyres. And I think Ocon was the only other driver on hard tyres, but the forecast said about halfway through the session this rain should start to come, and I'm guessing all the soft and medium runners will have to box before the rain comes, whereas we can stay out until the rain comes. On these hard tyres we can stay out and then make the pit for inters if we need to, and if not, then we can just switch to the mediums when we need to and go to the end of the race, similar to Belgium. You know, a lot of people or like we went for a different strategy thinking that we'd need inters, and we didn't need inters in the end. So we'll see how much rainfall we do get here in Singapore as Esteban Ocon covers the inside line and pushes us wide around the outside. We have to go over the curb to avoid a collision there with Ocon, but we have the pace to beat him into this next corner, and we're going to push him wide into the wall lane almost to repay the favour. You know, that was very sneaky from Ocon. I hate this guy, hate racing against this guy. He's always a prick when we race against this guy. If you remember back in the French Grand Prix, was it last season or this season? He spun us out anyway in one of the French Grand Prix in one of the last corner. But on lap 5, boys, of 31, you can see now the rain has started to come already. This is completely through a spanner in the works. You can see those droplets on the screen. Lap 6, the rain's starting to get heavier. There is a yellow flag behind us here on lap 6, and it looks like one of the Williams cars is slowing down, and this is going to be Mick Schumacher. Had a decent performance in qualifying, but then took an engine penalty, and unfortunately he's got engine failure in this brand new power unit that Williams did put into his car for this race. We've seen a lot of Mercedes related power unit retirements this season so far, so maybe it's a good job we made the switch to Ferrari for this season in our power unit. Last season we of course had that retirement in Singapore ourselves. As we come through one of the last corners here, Jeff gets on the radio and says a new strategy is available, box now for inters. So I just decided to go with it. You know, I decided, you know what, it's right at the pit entry where he said new strategy available. Let's do it. We're on these hard tyres. It started to get a little bit slippy. You can see us losing time in a delta, significant amount of time in the delta. Started to get a little bit slippy. Esteban Ocon also on the hards behind us has boxed for inters. We are the only 2 cars to box for inters. Obviously hard tyres are the worst tyres possible to be on in wet conditions. Soft tyres the best apart from the wet, you know, and into tyres. In the slick category, soft and medium are a lot better than hards in the wet conditions. So we come out in P20 now on these intermediate tyres, and you can see the track does look a bit greasy. You know, it looks wet, so hopefully these inters we can see We can see by watching the split times in the top left if these inters are the right call. You know, Mazepin's on the mediums in front. He's 10.5 seconds ahead. We're going to be faster than Mazepin anyway, but you can definitely tell from the tyres as well that we have made the right call. Latifi as well, even on the soft tyres, we're making up time to Latifi. Even just going down this straight, you can see the delta in the top left is closing to Latifi, probably showing that inters right now are the best tyres to be on. So as we come around this corner, it's now 9 seconds the gap to Latifi, and then we make that gap 7.2 seconds, and I'm going to be expecting a lot more people to pit on this lap. DRS has been disabled as well here on lap 8, which is a good telltale sign that you need to be on intermediate tyres because the track is too wet. It'd be too dangerous to allow DRS to be open. As we come past the pits now though, everyone's coming out. Has the undercut worked here in Singapore? I think we were P15 before we came into the pits, maybe something around there, and we have to go around the outside there as George Russell comes flying out of the pit and nearly slingshots into the side of us. We're in P14 now, and we're going to beat George Russell, I think, into this corner here. We go late on the brakes. A little bit of contact there with George Russell. He turns in on us as we send it up the inside, but we're up into P13, so it looks like the undercut has done us nicely. Here's that replay of the overtake on Russell. Doesn't even check his mirrors. You can blatantly see us coming in, and he just makes no effort to open his wheel there and avoid the contact. You see, he made contact with our front wheel, didn't open his wheel, and kept turning and damaged our back wheel as well, or made contact with our back wheel as well. So just foolish from Russell there. We cover the inside in case Russell tries to send one on us down the inside there, and hopefully we can catch Fernando Alonso. He's only 1.7 seconds ahead. We lost a bit of time defending from George Russell there, so hopefully we can catch up to this Alpine and make the pass on Alonso. But a few laps later, Alonso was 3.5 seconds ahead, just couldn't catch up with him, and Jeff wants us to box 2 laps later than usual, or than the strategy says. The strategy said to box on the next lap, lap 19. And Jeff wants us to box now on lap 21. I don't really pay attention to when he does that and says like the same tyres but a different lap. So we're just going to see how the track feels, how the tyres feel. And Jeff has just got on the radio there on lap 19 and said the track is dry and let us know when it's time for slicks, as we miss the apex of that corner significantly there, lose a lot of time. Through that corner, 2 tenths we lost there to Fernando Alonso through one corner alone. And now the gap to Alonso is 3.5 seconds. We run wide on the final corner there. Lap 20 of 31 on these intermediate tyres. We boxed on lap like 9, I think, or 7. Not much has happened, you know. As you can tell, we're literally just pushing, and we've just seen now George Russell and Giovinazzi have pit behind us now. I'm not sure what tyres they would be going on to, whether they'd be going for another set of inters, or if we are in that crossover period to going onto the medium tyres. But I have just seen someone in the top left go onto mediums. I missed the name there, but somebody has came out of the pits on medium tyres, and race control has enabled DRS. So Jeff has came up with a new strategy again, which is boxing on the lap 21 for medium tyres. Now this is lap 20, so it would mean another lap on these intermediate tyres, which I didn't mind. You know, the track definitely still felt quite slippy, still felt quite wet. Did not feel like it was time for medium tyres, you know. But we bumped the wall there. I don't know if we took damage. But Nico Rosberg has came into the pit on P20, obviously being the guy in front. That's why Jeff told us to go on lap 21. Rosberg is going to be boxing this lap, and we're going to have to do one more lap on these intermediate tyres. As we see Lando Norris come out ahead of us on the mediums, let's watch the split times and see what is the best tyre, the medium or the inter right now. 1 second gap to Lando Norris, and heading into the next corner, he's already made a 2/10 gap to us on these intermediate tyres. And as we head down this straight here, we have more straight line speed than the McLaren as well, and look at the delta. He's flew up to nearly 2 seconds ahead of us now. So Jeff just confirming there, we're not sure whether these are the right tyres to be on. Yeah, no shit, Jeff, nice one for that, mate. But we've been reversed. Danny Moreno, with anyone who watches F1 Esports, in the F1 Esports Austrian Grand Prix this year, Jarno Opmeer was in front, and it started to rain. Jarno Opmeer was in front of his teammate Danny Moreno, and Jarno got to pit first while it was raining, so he got from the mediums onto the inters, but Danny Moreno had to stay out for an extra lap on the medium tyres while it was raining, and it completely ruined his race. We've been reversed, Danny Moreno there, as we come into the pits. We had a gap to Sebastian Vettel like 15 seconds or something, and he's closed it to 3 seconds as we head into the pits. Let's see how many places we do lose. But like I say, reverse Danny Moreno there as we stay out one more lap while the track was dry on intermediate tyres, which is not good, you know. I thought we might have had into slicks like we saw in the Turkish Grand Prix this year. Maybe the tyres would have been a little bit better, you know. We were on them for quite a lot of laps, but yeah, it just wasn't the case. We come out to the pits now in P16. If you remember, we were P13 after the first pit stop. We're going to come out in P16 now, which is not good. We have a lot of places to gain. Even Esteban Ocon, who we did pit for Inters at the same time with, is 2.6 seconds ahead of us. But we know we have a fast car. If we can get these tyres working on this surface, then we might be able to make a good few overtakes before the end of this race. And we do feel quite fast coming through that section. It just feels fast, you know. The track is pretty much completely dry now. It seems like there's no wet patches at all. The rain has completely stopped. And it is now lap 23 of 31, and we go purple in sector 1, so the track is definitely evolving, definitely drying up there, and we are catching Esteban Ocon as Max Verstappen sets the new fastest lap of the race, 138.3. Then Hamilton beaten by 2/10, 138.2. as we come through towards the bridge section. Sainz are 138.19, Bottas 138.12 as we come across the bridge. Take it very nicely there. Probably the best I've done the bridge section in this whole race, and we are catching Esteban Ocon now almost within DRS range. DRS is of course active again. We got green in sector 2, 2 seconds quicker than our previous lap, so we are actually on pace for the fastest lap of the race as Daniel Ricciardo sets a 138 flat. So we are on pace for a 138 point something, but who knows what we're going to get. Can we set that fastest lap of the race? Setting a 138 flat is going to be a very tough challenge. We lost a bit of time coming under the bridge there, so there's definitely time to make up, and we completely cut the final corner there as we come across the line with a 137.885. Now, I don't know if we gained 2/10 by cutting that curb at the end there, but you know, you can cut that curb and you don't get a track limit warning or corner cutting warning for it, so I may as well do it. I don't even know if you lose time for that or not, but Charles Leclerc now 137.4. Charles Leclerc takes fastest lap away from us by 4/10. Absolutely incredible pace from the Ferrari this year in our season. But we have caught now Esteban Ocon and Antonio Giovinazzi, who is just in front of Ocon. Ricciardo again, fastest lap. We go into the back of Ocon there, a little bit of contact. Don't know if we took any damage there. I don't think we did. But Ocon, we need to clear this guy because he's so much slower than us, and he's really holding us up and ruining our race. So hopefully we can pass Ocon as quickly as possible, and Giovinazzi as well in front of him, because the gap to the car in front of Giovinazzi is significant. They're going through turn 1 as we've just came out of the final turn. We get DRS down the home straight. Are we going to be able to make the pass on Esteban Ocon into turn 1? It's way downtown, too far back to make a pass like that. We're going to go around the outside here or try and get the switch back up the inside, but no, it's not going to work again. But we get a nice exit compared to Esteban, and now we are going to send it down the inside, and he has to leave us that room as we get the rotation in there. We get DRS activated, and we are flying now ahead towards Giovinazzi, who is the next target in sight. We hardly have any ERS left. Lap 25 though, this is going to be a replay of that overtake there on Esteban. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple overtake, you know, nothing too special, nothing like the overtakes we were doing in Russia last time out. If you haven't seen that Russian Grand Prix episode, make sure you go and check that one out. We had some immense overtakes in Russia after a stinker in qualifying, so that was a very fun race. Go and check that episode out if you haven't already. Like I say, if you are new to the channel and this is your first time watching a race, I highly recommend you go back and watch season 1 and the rest of season 2 to find out like what's happened with, you know, teammates in the past, and get up to scratch, up to speed with all of the inside jokes, such as Dan Tickton being an absolute stinker. And we are chasing down Giovinazzi now. We cut that curb again because we know that you can do that without getting a warning. Into turn 1, Giovinazzi tries to defend, but he's going to be no match for us, and we managed to take that place on Giovinazzi. Here's the replay of that on board. You can see we get DRS took into the slipstream. Giovinazzi pulls out a little, but we're going to full send it down that inside line and take that move and avoid track limits on the exit of turn 1. Very nice indeed. Now George Russell, we have 5 laps left in the race. George Russell is 7 seconds ahead of us, 7.1 seconds ahead of us. Sebastian Vettel 20 seconds ahead. Sebastian Vettel completely out of range, but Vettel just perfect timing. Vettel engine failure. I've just manifested it. Like I mentioned before with Mick Schumacher, that's another car with a Mercedes engine that's retired from a race this season. Some reliability issues over at Mercedes by the looks of things, but we make up a position now. I was going to say the points are completely out of reach, but we have just overtaken, obviously, Sebastian Vettel. Fernando Alonso in P11 is 13.7 seconds ahead. George Russell's 7.1 seconds ahead. Can we make up 13 seconds in 5 laps? Who knows? We're going to cross the line and start lap 27. The gap to George is now 6.4 seconds. We've made up 5 tenths to George there. Now we cross the line to start lap 28, and the gap to George Russell is 5 seconds. We've made up 1.4 seconds on that lap there, I do believe. And crossing the line to start lap 30, the penultimate lap of the race, the gap to George is 3.3 seconds. So we are closing this gap. We are hunting George Russell. We need just one more good performance. We cross the line to start our final lap of the race. The gap to George Russell, 2.6 seconds. Have we got 2.6 seconds worth of pace in us to close in one lap, or do we need another lap? Max Verstappen takes the checkered flag, pole position and the win in Singapore for Max Verstappen, and now we can see George Russell in our sight. He's only 1.3 seconds ahead of us. We're using all of our ERS available to try and close that gap to George as we head through into sector 3. Can we close that gap to George, or do we need one more lap? We had some incredible pace to close a 7-second gap down to 1 second. That shows the pace that we do have. This Williams car has advanced as well. It's not the stinker that it used to be. And George Russell is, of course, a good driver, but we haven't seen much of him this season, to be fair. George Russell getting towards the final corner now. We've closed the gap to sub 1 second. Showed some great pace to close that gap to George, but it's going to be no use as we cross the line and dump it in the wall. Completely pushed around that last corner, lost all traction, but we managed to cross the line before we sent it into the wall. That would have been a stinker. Imagine we crashed out right before the end of the race, but we do get driver of the day for the second race in a row. We're on a streak right now. Hopefully, we can turn a streak of driver of the days into a streak of podiums, even wins. Of course, last time I was in Russia, Nico Rosberg got his first win of the season, first pole position for the team as well, for any driver that's ever raced for the team, and it was Nico Rosberg who got pole and the win. Max Verstappen getting pole and the win here in Singapore. Rosberg probably had a stinker in qualifying, trying to qualify on medium tyres, or he just didn't have the pace. Who knows? We don't get to see, which I wish you did. Maybe Codemasters could add that into future games. You get to watch Q2 and Q3, especially if your teammate makes it through like Nico did. But yeah, so let's see where Nico ended up in a moment. But Carlos Sainz, a man who we have a lot of history with on this series as well, getting a podium there. P3 for Carlos, Lewis in P2, Max on P1. Who'd have thought it? I've never said those words in my life. Carlos Sainz, though, like I mentioned, that Ferrari had great pace. I wonder who got fastest lap of the race. It went to Daniel Ricciardo with a 1:37.38. Nico Rosberg up from P11 into P8, or P9, sorry. I thought Nico would have had a lot more pace than that. I can't lie to you. He's 99 rated overall. And to only make up 2 places in the race when we make up, quick math, 6 places in the race, it's just not the best from Nico. I thought with that pace upgrade that we did buy in the personnel department, I thought Nico would be absolutely flying for the rest of the season. And after the pole and win in Russia, I definitely did expect a better race from him here in Singapore. But, you can't win them all, can you? So let's check out the driver standings. We fall now into P5 in the driver standings, 3 points behind Bottas, 5 points behind Sergio Perez in P3. Max Verstappen absolutely running away with the lead, 91 points ahead of us. Max Verstappen in P1 in the driver standings, Lewis in P2, only 77 points ahead. Well, that's still quite a lot of points ahead. Nico falls to P9, I think that was in the drivers. And you can see we are 128 points behind Red Bull in the constructors standings. So next up is the Japanese Grand Prix, one that I absolutely hate and I'm considering removing off the calendar for next season. You can see very briefly there, Mercedes have actually overtaken us now in the R&D chart. We are starting to stagnate our progress a little. as our R&D trees are completely maxed out and we haven't upgraded our facilities to be able to upgrade them further because we don't have the money. Simply do not have the money to upgrade those facilities there. We are saving up for it though. You can see we've got 7.5 mil in the bank. We're saving up to try and upgrade our facilities and develop our car further. But then we also have to think we're coming towards the end of the season now. We need to think about next season's teammate. If you want someone big, we're going to have to start saving money, but then we need to upgrade our facilities so our car doesn't fall too far behind the rest of the pack. So we're in quite a catch-22 situation. It's difficult, but next up is the Japanese Grand Prix. Hopefully we can have a better race than today in Singapore in terms of the qualifying performance and just the race performance, of course, as well. Hopefully Nico can have a good showing here. We're really relying on Nico at this point for these last few races to get us the points. You know, I'm not good around Japan, not the best around the circuit of the Americas. So hopefully Nico can have a good performance. If you did enjoy this video, like, comment, share and subscribe. You know the vibes, and I will catch us next time. Take it easy.